What if the single mom, staring down an eviction notice in the rusting heart of Detroit, her 4-year-old daughter's future dangling by a threadbare thread, turned that gut-wrenching rejection into a multi-million-dollar design empire that lit up the Midwest skyline? In June 2012, Emily Hargrove's hands shook as she gripped the red-inked paper in her cramped East Side apartment. The words, $850 overdue final notice, blurring through tears that she blinked back fierce, because Ava was watching from the threadbare couch, those wild curls framing eyes too innocent for the storm brewing. At 28, Emily was a ghost of the girl who dreamed big in high school art class. Her sketches of vibrant cityscapes, now buried under stacks of unpaid bills, and a beat-up Ford Taurus that coughed like it knew better days were gone. The Packard plant loomed outside their window, a skeletal relic of Detroit's faded glory, mocking her with its shattered panes and graffiti-scarred wall. She'd hustled double shifts at the Highway Diner on Gratiot Avenue, flipping burgers in the sizzle of grease for $7.25 an hour, plus tips that evaporated like morning fog, $20 on a good night, barely enough for Ava's $200 a month preschool slot, where overworked teachers wrangled 30 tiny tornadoes. Emily's calluses, etched from scrubbing counters till her knuckles bled, traced the edge of the notice as she crumpled it, whispering to the empty air, "Not today. Not us." But deep in her chest, a hollow ache whispered back. How long could she keep this facade from cracking wide open, spilling them both into the streets where the city's forgotten shuffled under sodium lights? Ava toddled over, clutching a crayon drawing of a house with a sun bigger than the roof, and tugged Emily's jeans. "Mommy, fix it?" Emily forced a smile, scooping her up in arms that ached from the weight of it all. But as the radiator clanked its futile heat into the chill, doubt coiled tighter. What if this was the moment the dream of stability slipped forever through her grease-stained fingers? Emily's days blurred into a relentless rhythm, a grind etched in the salt of Michigan winters and the sweat of endless hustles, all propped up by the shaky pillar of a belief she'd clung to since her own mom passed from cancer 5 years back. Just work harder, and the world would bend. Mornings cracked open at 5 a.m., the alarm's shrill buzz yanking her from fitful sleep on a lumpy mattress that sagged like her spirits, the apartment's thin walls letting in the distant wail of sirens, and the low rumble of semis on I-94. She'd kiss Ava's forehead, still warm with toddler dreams, murmur, "Mommy's got this, baby girl," and bolt out into the pre-dawn gray, the Taurus's engine protesting with a sputter that cost her $20 in gas just to make the 10-mile trek to the diner. There, amid the clatter of plates and the hiss of fryers, she'd sling hash browns and coffee refills, her smile a mask over the math ticking in her head. Rent $850, utilities creeping to $150, groceries $300 if she skipped the fresh produce aisle at Kroger. Lunch rushes peaked with truckers barking orders, "Extra bacon, darlin', and make it snappy," tips jingling into her apron like false promises. Averaging $25 on Saturdays, when the lot overflowed with chrome rigs. Afternoons were a sprint back for Ava's pickup at the underfunded preschool on Mack Avenue, where chain-link fences hemmed in a playground of cracked asphalt and a single swing set creaking under too many weights. Home meant collapse into the kitchen chair, the formica scarred from years of solo suppers, microwaving boxes of Kraft mac and cheese at 99 cents a pop, the orange glow, a small rebellion against the void left by Ava's dad, who'd vanished 2 years prior with barely a text, leaving maxed credit cards and a community college dropout certificate gathering dust. Evenings stretched into makeshift school time. Emily hunched over the wobbly table with Ava's ABC flashcards, amid a scatter of crayons, drilling letters, while her own ambitions flickered like the bare bulb overhead graphic design ideas scribbled on napkins during slow shifts, in visions of logos that could breathe life into the city's fading signs. She fired off job applications from the public library's ancient computers, tailoring cover letters till her eyes burned, convinced that one more perfect resume would unlock the door to a real career, something beyond the diner's haze. Night sealed the cycle, tucking Ava in with stories of far-off adventures, then staring at the ceiling cracks that mapped her fractures, the false gospel echoing, "Push through, and it'll pay off." But in those stolen silences, as the radiator gurgled its empty tune, Emily's mind wandered to the sketches tucked in a shoebox, bold swirls for a coffee shop, gritty fonts for a tattoo parlor, and wondered if the lie she told herself was the chain holding her under. What if the water was rising faster than she could bail? The cracks widened into chasms that autumn, rejections raining down like the relentless Michigan downpours that turned potholed streets into rivers of regret. It started at the Cobo Hall job fair in September 2012, Emily steeling herself in a thrifted Goodwill blazer that pinched at the shoulders, $12 well spent, she figured, as she clutched 20 library-printed resumes, the ink already smudging on the cheap stock. The hall buzzed with desperate energy, booths hawking assembly lines and call centers under fluorescent glare, the air thick with cheap cologne and unspoken fears. She queued for the marketing firm's table, heart hammering like a jackhammer, pitching her self-taught Photoshop chops from late-night YouTube binges squeezed between laundry folds. "I see the soul in brands," she said, voice steady despite the knot in her throat, but the recruiter, a slick 20-something with a ponytail, skimmed her page and smirked. "No degree? We're looking for polish, honorable entry level at best." The sting burned, but she pressed on to the graphic design stall, where a bespectacled woman barely lifted her eyes. "Portfolio? Real work?" Emily's cheeks flamed. Her portfolio was diner doodles, chalkboard specials reimagined in vibrant hues. By closing, 0 cards swapped from 50 booths, just a rubber stress ball rolling underfoot like her hopes. Back in the Taurus, rain sheeting the windshield, she gripped the wheel till her knuckles whitened, the drive home a blur of wipers slapping defeat. Bills piled like autumn leaves. $200 electric shutoff threat, $150 copay for Ava's ear infection, antibiotics from the corner pharmacy. Desperation sharpened her edge, and she hammered out online apps, Indeed, LinkedIn, Craigslist, customizing till midnight, each click a prayer. October brought the cruel tease, an interview at a midtown ad agency overlooking the Detroit River, her first real nibble. She ironed her skirt with a neighbor's borrowed board, splurged $3 on a gas station, coffee to steady the jitters, arriving 10 minutes early to the glass-fronted lobby that smelled of ambition and fresh varnish. Mr. Ellis, the hiring manager in his crisp button-down, leaned back and probed, "Why graphic design?" Emily unleashed her fire tales of flyer concepts for the diner's bingo nights, dreams of visuals that could stitch the city's wounds. He nodded, jotted notes, promised a follow-up. 3 weeks dragged like tar, her inbox a graveyard, until the email pinged. "Thank you for your interest, but we've selected a candidate whose experience aligns more closely." No specifics, just that polite gut punch, leaving her slumped on the stoop in a sudden squall, rain soaking through as Ava waved a drawing from the window, a lopsided house with a question mark door. "We moving soon, Mommy?" The words twisted like a knife, and Emily bundled her inside, but the hemorrhage wouldn't staunch. To stem the bleed, she snagged a night cleaning gig at Troy, 40 miles each way up I-75, the Taurus guzzling $60 weekly in gas for $1,200 monthly, that vanished into the mall rent hike to $900, daycare edging to $250. Dawn bled into diner grease, sleep a ragged 3 hours snatched in stolen corners, her body a roadmap of bruises from hauling vacuums up office stairs. By January 2013, the third wave crashed. Whispers of diner foreclosure, shifts slashed, and 20 more rejections, stacking to 50 over 6 months. Each email a fresh scar etching unqualified into her soul. She pawned a necklace for $40, groceries, stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, hollow cheeks, shadows under eyes, and believed it all. Too rough-edged, too mom-exhausted, too broke for the American promise. Isolation clawed deeper. No safety net friends, scattered by the recession, family, a memory. And as February's ice glazed the windows, Ava's cough started, a rasp that escalated through the night, tiny chest heaving like bellows. Emily bundled her into the car at 2 a.m. Tires slipping on black ice, for the 15-mile haul to Henry Ford Hospital. ER lights stabbing the dark as doctors swarmed. Pneumonia, they diagnosed, IV drips and monitors beeping, but the bill loomed, $2,400 out of pocket, even with her spotty insurance. Alone in the vinyl chair as Ava dozed, Emily's world imploded, the lie of hard work salvation, shattering like the rain-lashed panes outside. No one to call, just the sterile hum and her pounding heart. What if this was the fracture that finally broke her beyond repair? Dawn filtered gray through the hospital blinds, and in that hollow limbo, Emily's phone screen glowed with an old folder of sketches, a coffee shop logo curling like steam, a block party flyer exploding in color, and the ember of an idea flickered against the despair. She texted Jamal, her community college buddy now freelancing web design in Ann Arbor. Coffee tomorrow? Brainstorm needed. He met her at a Tim Hortons off the interstate. Next day, $2.50 mugs steaming between them as she spilled the fragments. Leverage her eye for the overlooked pitch designs to local spots starving for fresh looks. Jamal's eyes sharpened over his splash of cream. You've got the gift, Em, but treat it like a business. 10 cold emails daily, Squarespace site on the free trial, no begging jobs. Build your own. Doubt gnawed, a familiar beast, but Ava's hospital smile echoed louder, and back in the dim apartment that afternoon, Emily cleared the kitchen counter, borrowed library laptop humming to life. She typed her inaugural pitch, ignite your brand with Detroit tough designs that turn heads, sent to a barber shop on Livernois Avenue. Silence echoed back, but the dam had cracked. Mornings evolved from rote alarm to ritual. 5 a.m. Black coffee, sketchpad under the bulb, roughing concepts, a fierce eagle for a gym, taco flames for a food truck before the diner dash. Nights, post, Ava's bedtime tales. She logged 2 hours on free Coursera modules, fingers flying over keys on typography and vectors. Jamal's Canva Pro link at $12.99, monthly her first investment. Failures pocked the trail like craters on 8 Mile. First 10 pitches vanished into voids. 11th snagged a $50 church bulletin in March. Blocky fonts for sermons. Cash that bought a week's rice and beans. Joy spiked, fleeting as a diner tip. Crushed when the next 20 ghosted. One florist client shredding her draft over email. Too flashy for us. Emily wept into her pillow at 2 a.m. The voice hissing, fraud. But she tracked it in a spiral notebook. Emails dispatched, 150 by April 2013. Gigs claimed, 3 for $200 total. Weekends morphed into outreach odysseys. Picnics at Cass Park with Ava munching peanut butter sandwiches on checkered blankets. While Emily chatted up vendors at Woodward Avenue farmers markets, bakers with flour-dusted hands, jewelers, flashing handmade rings, slipping her, Kinko's, printed cards, $15 for 100, stamped Emily Hargrove, designs. Rejections bit hard, a bookstore owner snorted. Stick to flipping patties, tallying 75 by summer's end, each a bruise blooming purple. She trimmed diner hours to 40 weeks, siphoning scraps into a mason jar. $20 from a logo tweak, $50 from a flyer redo, swelling to $1,000 by August for a second-hand Wacom tablet off eBay. Its stylus, a talisman in her palm. Ava joined the fray, finger painting, client mocks on fridge paper, giggling, mommy's magic pictures. Her chatter a balm against the slow spells, when bills nipped daycare up $50. A leaky faucet draining $100 in plumber fees. Emily hawked her class ring for $80 in September, vowing no more surrenders, then struck gold in October. A cold email to Sweet Potato Pie on Woodward hooked Miss Lorraine, the iron-willed owner with braids like steel cables. Over slices of cinnamon-dusted heaven, Emily unveiled mock-ups, crimson ribs curling like smoke signals, golden cornbread bursting warm, sealed for $300. Revisions dragged 3 rounds across 2 weeks, nights dissolving into dawn bleary-eyed, but delivery day brought Miss Lorraine's bear hug. Child, you captured our fire. Referrals trickled like first thaw. 5 gigs by December, $1,500 pooled, enough to ditch the Troy scrubs. Trembling, she signed the lease renewal. $900 locked in. But as December snow mantled the city in white silence, a whisper haunted. Could this fragile flame weather the blizzards ahead, or would it gutter out in the cold? The thaw came not from mercy but motion. Emily's pitches evolving from pleas to precision strikes, her world unfurling like a long-held breath. Spring 2014 bloomed with structure. 6 a.m. YouTube yoga to uncoil the knots in her spine from years of hunching. Then 90 minutes plotting targets. Google Maps scouting new openings in Detroit's pockets. Emails laced with hooks like, "Your storefront deserves to roar, not whisper." Setbacks snarled the path. A $400 bike shop logo botched in hue mismatches. The owner raging over phone. Emily refunding $200 and iterating thrice in 10 days. Pantone charts her new Bible. But counters climbed. 8 projects that quarter for $3,200. Splurging on Ava's fuzzy pink coat and boots for $120 at Target. The girls twirls a victory dance in the living room. She financed a $600 MacBook Air in $50 monthly bites, pixels her new canvas, and ponied up $75 for the American Institute of Graphic Arts Detroit chapter, rubbing elbows at mixers where her unvarnished yarns, I-branded bingo nights with spatulas as props, trumped Ivy pedigrees over $6 pints at Slow's barbecue. Ava's kindergarten kickoff, that September $45 uniform, $30 supplies from Meyer, hit like a milestone. Emily volunteered for art hour. Her quick demos of shading pulling gasps from 25 wide-eyed kids. Cracks spidered through though, a November dry patch, 0 bites in 3 weeks. Savings rated for $1,200, car fixes after a Gratiot pothole ambush, panic flaring hot dust off the diner apps. Instead, she launched a free Zoom webinar, branding on pennies, trawling Facebook groups for small-timers. 22 logged in, 4 converted to $800 gigs. Years close tallied $15,000, earned humble, hard-won, all hers. 2015 ignited with reach. A $200 monthly shared desk at Midtown's WeWork clone. The hum of typewriters and cold brews fueling her. First subcontractor, a Wayne State student at $15 hourly for invoices, freed her hands. Pitches surged to 300 annually, NOS to 200, but yeses leaped 25 clients. $28,000 revenue, margins her quiet thrill. Ava's school play, Emily front row, throat tight as her daughter shone in a foil crown, the applause a shared heartbeat. The toll etched faint lines at her temples. A February stomach flu floored her for 7 days. Deadlines teetering. One baker bailing mid-revision. Rebound meant 3 a.m. Grinds, but it tempered her steel. By summer, a referral chain pulled her north. Miss Lorraine's nod to a Chicago craft brewery eyeing Detroit. Shelves. Emily gunned the 5-hour haul-up, I-94 inches, June 2016, portfolio sweating in her lap. The skylines pierce a siren call. Riley, the inked brewer with a vet's steady gaze, grilled her over hazy IPAs, make us stick in minds. Her hops as Urban Vine's mock-ups landed the $2,500 nod. Tweaks, zipping via Dropbox across 3 weeks, amid Ava's $400 weekly camp. Launch spiked their sales 30% per a bubbly newsletter. And Riley's follow-up crackled. Gold, Emily. Intros to Ann Arbor winemakers, Toronto too? The yes escaped unbidden, inbox igniting with cross-border sparks. But Detroit's gravity tugged Ava mid-semester, roots coiled in its clay. Emily paced the riverwalk at dusk, lights fracturing on black water like shattered promises, Ava skipping pebbles beside her. Adventure time, mommy? The girl piped, and the scales tipped. Fall packed the Taurus. Sketches boxed, $5,000 nest egg tucked, west to Ferndale's quirky enclave, $1,100, sunny one bed, artsy cafes humming. The 400-mile U-Haul Odyssey cost $300 in rental, first night on Jamal's lumpy couch, a crash of boxes and belly laughs. A $4,000 Ann Arbor winery gig closed December, But shadows nipped a Milwaukee deposit ghosted for $600 lost. She joined a $100 women's entrepreneur circle, bonds forged over Pinot flights, lifting the load. 2017 accelerated. 2 freelancers at $20 hourly. Home studio with $1,200 drafting table. Revenue? $52,000, 40% profit, her exhale. Ava aced art class. Emily keynoted a local TEDx knockoff to 150 souls. Grease to glory. A Michigan Business Journal spread reached 10,000 eyes. Yet Ava's quiet at a parent-teacher meet, mommy's always working, gutted her. Emily carved Sundays for Kensington Metropark hikes, 10-mile trails crunching leaves, their hands linked in sync. Balance budded, business bloomed $85,000 in 2018. Team at 5, clients threading 5 states. But as horizons widened, a national thunder rumbled. Could she seize the stage her scars had scripted? The crest broke in 2019's blaze. Emily's quiet forge, erupting into a beacon that redrew her map. A cold pitch to Brooklyn's Rejects to Riches brand, pierced founder Lena's 500 deep slush. Lena, a garage goddess echo of Emily's grit, zoomed in. Your story's my mirror, rebrand us raw. The $15,000 packed locked war room, her Ferndale living room, whiteboards bleeding hex codes and slogans. Her crew marshaled for 4 all-nighters on Red Bull 4s. The 4th of July drop. Ecom visuals sleek as midnight. Traffic vaulting 150% per analytics overnight. Lena's rave, you resurrected our pulse, propelled the surge. Forbes, under 30 profile in the 1st of September, 0.2 million readers devouring her arc. Keynotes at SXSW, netting $5,000 pops. Adobe collabs tutorialing 50,000 views. Emily Hargrove Designs LLC, inked official, $250,000 revenue that year. 12 hires, single moms, mostly. $45,000, starts with health perks, mirroring her voids. She closed on a $320,000. Royal Oak, 3-bed backyard swing swaying for Ava's 8th bash. 30 kids' shrieks, a symphony under string lights. Roster swelled to 80 clients, 60% repeats, 6-month waitlists, her quiet flex. Imposter's whisper struck at 3 a.m. a $10,000 pitch, fumble from fatigue, but therapy at $150 sessions unpacked the diner ghosts, emerging her lighter, surer. 2020's pandemic hammer fell, gigs froze, events vaporized, but Emily swerved, gratis virtual bootcamps for sidelined artists, drawing 500, spawning a $97 course that moved 2,000 units in half a year, $194,000, pure pivot. Ava, 10 and fierce, co-scripted family vlogs. Mom says fall 7, rise 8. Her poise, Emily's mirror. Empire peaked at $1.2 million by 2022. HQ, a 2,000 square foot downtown Detroit loft, leased $8,000 monthly. Murals of client triumphs, wallpapering the space full circle to the packaged shadows. Accolades cascaded. Michigan Small Business of the Year Gala, $200. Gown swishing as Ava pinned a corsage, her grin brighter than flashbulbs. Emily birthed the Hargrove Grant, $10,000 yearly for single mom starters. Inaugural to a Flint inkslinger whose tattoos now graced her own arm. Life scales evened. Mackinac Island getaways, 300-mile charity bike loops with Ava on a tag-along. First crushes hashed over cones at Sanders. Success's underbelly nipped boardroom isolation, a teamer's burnout echo but gratitude anchored. Weekly brunches texting Jamal, pie afternoons with Miss Lorraine, Ava's bedtime right. Thanks for your fire today. At 39, Emily's calluses softened but lingered, badges from the blaze. Reflections settled like dusk on the loft's balcony. Detroit's revival pulsing below food truck sizzle, her logo's neon on half the awnings. The Packard, now a green-lit tech hub. The eviction notice, framed behind glass in her office. Red ink faded to a warrior's rune, no longer chain but catalyst. She'd swapped aprons for silk blazers, but the diner's echo shaped her raw edges honed to edges that cut through noise. Gratitude wove daily, mentoring pods at the YWCA, 200 women yearly, leaning into her unfiltered truths over coffee urns. Rejection? It's the rough draft. You author the rewrite. Therapy peeled the layers, revealing hustle's myth yielded to heart's pivot, the darkroom choice, the extended palm to climbers behind. Sunsets misted her eyes now from wonder, not where. From $850 shortfalls to skylines she scripted. Ava's laughter, the richest yield. No hadn't barred the door. It had taught her to build one unbreakable. In whispers to wide-eyed protégés, she'd cup their elbows. That bill on your mat? It's your launchpad, not your limit. Emily's arc whispered universal. From booth to boardrooms, scars to stars. And you right here, breath catching on this page, what no waits for your hammer. Anyone can ignite today, napkin sketch or laptop glow. Comment day one below if this is your dawn. Let's rise together, one bold line at a time.